Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to take a moment, having completed the campaign for the third edict for the first time, to give you kind of a after action brief, or after, I don't want to call it a review because I haven't had time to sit and stew over things. I mostly just want to put something out there that's kind of like a, I don't know, hot take or whatever you want to call it, when you just want to kind of give your initial impressions of something right after you've experienced it. So I have to say that the story for the third edict is pretty interesting, for Act 4 anyway. The ability to sail around to the different islands and kind of pick your own adventure is definitely something I enjoyed, but I have to say that I feel like Act 4 is just way too long. And the reason I say that is that I did an entire 10-hour live stream getting through Acts 1 through 3 with this character. Now, this is an acolyte of Chayula Hollow Palm Monk, which, you know, for the most part does a pretty decent amount of damage, but he dies a lot. He dies a lot. I mean, I finally got some decent evasion, so it happens less, but man, he dies a lot. And that's kind of important for my initial reaction to this, because as we all know in Path of Exile 2, one of the things that we all look for are overpowered builds, because the way the game designers develop this game seems to be they're planning for you to create these crazy powerful builds, and so they tune their encounters to make sure that those powerful builds aren't just wiping the floor with everything, right? And while I can understand that approach from a game designer's perspective, they don't want people just walking in and killing bosses in 2 seconds. It makes it really frustrating when you want to play something that isn't necessarily a meta planned build, and you just kind of want to play an archetype and you want to just kind of build it out. And it turns out that you don't have the survivability or the DPS or anything like that to be able to do that. And so my biggest frustration with this league in general, especially all of the bosses in Act 4 and later, is just the boss fights just have way too much going on, and there's way too many things that can one-shot you, and there's way too many things that don't have enough of a wind-up, especially when there's, like, you know, a million different things glittering across the screen for you to be able to see, oh, he's winding up an attack on me. By the time you see it through all the visual clutter that's on the screen, by the time you see it, a lot of these bosses, they end up just one-shotting you. And I've had to fight some of these bosses like literally 20 times to finally get through it. And it wasn't because I learned the boss mechanics and finally learned it like I'm a slow learner or anything. It's because the boss mechanics are set up in such a way that for several of the, like, I don't know, at least I think 10 of the bosses, probably like 10 of the bosses, have like half of their abilities are all one-shot abilities if you don't have like crazy amounts of hit points. And so the issue with the boss fights continues. The same complaints I had when the initial acts first came out and the bosses were just way overtuned. They need to be pulled back quite a lot if they want to make it so that non-super uber builds have a chance of being able to complete it even within just a couple of fights, right? Like, the only reason I was able to get through some of the fights is because I got really lucky, and the random rotation that the bosses used didn't end up using some of the one-shot mechanics. And, you know, this character has a really high DPS. I mean, I don't know what really high means, but I mean, I'm able to do, you know, 5,600 damage per second with my Storm Wave, and that's pretty much all I've been using for the most part throughout the entire campaign. So, you know, I'm able to kill things pretty quickly when I can put the damage down, but I'm constantly having to dodge roll around. And I'm constantly getting one-shot by things because evasion feels like it got super nerfed really hard. And, you know, I'm not getting lucky with my gear. I'm getting really unlucky with my gear. I mean, I've gone through the entire campaign, and these are the socketables I have. I've used 3 socketables in the entire campaign, and this is all I have. Right? And these are my resistances. This is not because I don't know any better, it's because I just haven't gotten gear that allows me to overcome the resistance problems. And this leads me into my second, like, knee-jerk review of what's going on. the item drops really, like the developers really need to remember that resistances are a thing, right? They design their fights and your survivability around the fact that you need resistances, but there's almost never a resistance ring that drops, or you know, the runes that we need that provide us with resistances. Like, this is a continuing problem that I've had since Path of Exile 2 came out. I am constantly fighting resistances because I just never get the drops that everyone else seems to be getting. And this is why we need some kind of deterministic system that allows us to overcome RNG woes that prevent us from getting gear that we need to be able to make our resistances high enough. Because this right here is just not going to fly. It's not going to fly at all. The only way I'm going to be able to do this now is to, you know, hopefully, and I don't even really have a lot of currency. I'm getting a lot of lag right now because everybody's trying to play. I don't even really have a lot of currency. I mean, I might be able to get a few things. Like, I'm gonna have to find a bunch of like single exalt items and then just like try to stack as much resistance as I can get, because my defenses are just like nothing. It's really, really bad. So the boss fights are way not all of them. Some of the acts in the interludes, some of the bosses in the interlude acts were actually a lot of fun. They were tuned just right for an average build to be able to get through and like fight them. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. That a lot of the boss fights it's not that they necessarily need to be made easier, they just need to be slowed down a little bit so that, you know, we have a chance to actually dodge mechanics for those of us who are a little bit squishy, because you can't have a one-shot thing coming and then right after that another one-shot thing coming and then right after that another one-shot thing coming. You can't have it working that way. And you need to have lots and lots and lots of runes dropping so that when you don't get rings and you don't get gear that has the resistances that you need, you can socket in the resistances that you're trying to get. Because I literally have had, like I said, I literally have one elemental one left. I had two over here. I never even got a single lightning one, not one. Right? So I don't know. Like, I know people get tired of hearing me complain, but I am a casual player, and if you want casuals to be able to play your game, you can't tune it for hardcore people. You gotta save the super difficult, you gotta save difficulty for the end game and the late stage end game. Because if you want people to stick around and play your game, you can't force them to play very specific builds. If you want to claim that you have build diversity, right? You can't force everybody into super meta builds to have any chance of any survival, especially if you're not gonna give us deterministic crafting and you're not gonna make sure that lots and lots and lots of items that actually have stats that we need are dropping, right? So that's what I have to say about it. It's going to be probably a while before I roll another character because I am super frustrated with how long it took me 8 hours to get through Act 4. That's a long time to be trying to get through an act. Now, obviously, going through it the second time around should be a lot faster because now I kind of have a vague idea of where to go and what I'm looking for and things like that. But that's still going to be 3 hours minimum, if not 4, even speed running it. And that's like, in addition to the, 10 hours or so it takes to get through acts 1 through 3, when you're trying to speed run it, we're continuing to build and build and build until it's going to take like 30 hours to just run the campaign speed running it. And I don't want to have to do that every time I want to re-roll a character. I want to roll my character and then hurry up and get to the part where the character's fun. Right? I know we still have to do some grind and that's fine, but I would like to actually just play the game and not have to take forever to get to the fun part. And the fun part is when your character's starting to get actually powerful. And that doesn't really happen until maps. So I understand that the developers desire to get the game to a point where, the campaign is fun, but anything you're making to where you're going to have to redo it over and over and over again, it's never going to be fun. It's always going to be a chore you have to accomplish. So just lean into that and streamline that process as much as possible so that we can enjoy the builds, because that's what we want. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the third edict so far. I just finished the campaign, and I'm going to be starting maps here in the next episode that I do, probably coming out Monday. So yeah, be sure to come back for that. You can watch the build progress as we continue to level up this character through the maps. And yeah, so hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join as a member for early access to videos, among other perks, or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with that thanks button. I also have PayPal and Patreon links for those of you who would like to go outside of YouTube. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.